If you watch my channel, you know that I like to collect rare, odd things that are different. What I have in front of you here is a displayed case of a miniature vintage knife that I'm going to say, from the look of this tab, is from the 70s. That's my initial thought on it. I collect knives. I have a bunch of knives, and I'm also in my 50s, and this sticker price is reminiscent to me of things I remember seeing when I was a kid. It comes in a display box. It came in a display box. I'm going to say it's the knife's original display box. I'm going to open up the case. Just as this brown reminds me also of Bakelite. Bakelite is the name given to the brown plastic that they used from what I know, for radios, for tube radios from the 50s, 40s, and 50s. Now, I didn't want to say that this knife is from, the 50s or the 60s. I think that would be a little too old. But that's what this brown reminds me of, or is reminiscent of. All right, here's the lid, the cover for the display, just to show you the size of this knife. You can tell it's small by how I'm grabbing it. Here it is next to a quarter. So the condition, inside of the case is this formed holder for the knife, plastic. I'm going to say this whole thing is original to the knife. And then there's this tab with the price, $13.50, pocket knife, surgical steel blade with one wood inlaid handle. Now, just to talk about this price for a second, I'm relatively sure this is pre. Oh man, it would really stink if this thing fell apart. I would tape it back together, but I'm only handling it now because of the video. I'm relatively sure this is not post 1980. I don't remember anything like that from when I was a kid. People used to buy, there was a lot of knives. There was not hobby stores. I guess they were like hobby stores where you bought like ninja stars and stuff like that. And, there were a lot of knives, and there was one in my area. If you're from New York and you were a teenager during the 80s, I think it was called TikTok. And it was like a hobby place in Brooklyn Park Slope, and that's all they sold were knives and ninja stars, and I guess they had a really cool Asian Connect, and it was super cheap. And all the people, everybody would go there like once a week or once a month and pick up, a little knife or a throwing star, and you'd go up to the park and practice with it. That's when ninjas were big, and movies like American Ninja came out, and it was crazy. So I don't ever remember seeing something like this. And even when I was a kid in the 70s, like my parents would take me to Macy's, they might have had stuff closer to this, but I'm even thinking back then I didn't see anything like this. So I'm really thinking, 60s, to be honest with you. But this price of $13.50 for this tiny pocket knife in the 60s or the 70s, I mean, adjusted for inflation, I mean, what would this be like a? I mean, I'm talking about cost, not even collector's value. Just, you know what? Let me see if let me go. Let me put it. I don't even know if an inflation calculator, if that's gonna be honest, but let me just check it out. I'm gonna look for an inflation calculator real quick. And it says CPI, inflation calculator. I would like to see a real inflation calculator. Real. I'm gonna put real in. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, smart asset inflation calculator. All right, let's say by year. So let's put in. I'm gonna put in the exact amount. $13.50. $13.50. Won't let me do it. All right, let's just put $13 in. I thought it would let me. No, it won't let you put in decimals. In let's go 1970. I really think it's older. Let's say 1970. All right, with an average inflation rate of 3.98%, which it's not true. I mean, things have went up in the past year 50. And what I've seen, some things went up 50%. According to this, okay, it rose 7 times, 700%. Let me see. I remember when in Park Slope in the 70s, real estate was about, you could buy a house in Park Slope for $15,000 in the 70s. Today, those houses are $1 million. Same houses, okay? Or even if they're 500,000, we're talking about 1,000%, and I think that's probably closer to the real inflation. But seven times from 1970 to 2024. No, so I don't believe this inflation calculator. I'm gonna say that a knife probably in 1970 was about a buck. And something like this to be $13.50. It had to be a very special knife back then to cost $13.50. Our rent, I think, was, if I remember correctly, my father told me when I was a little older, was $50 when I was a little kid. Okay, so this would have been, I guess it would have been like a big, been part of that. $13.50 compared to $50 is a large portion. You made about $75 to $100 a week. So this was a very expensive knife. In 1970, I'm saying 72, 73, 67. Now let's take a look. I've taken it out a few times. I've opened it a few times. I've never used it on anything, and I'm gonna move this over so it doesn't create any distortion. As far as I can tell, this is new old stock. And of all the knives and vintage knives that I own, I do not own a knife that is this old in this condition. Even the one that I showed, I did another video on a really cool knife in really, really good condition, but not as old as this one, and not as in good condition as this one. It's great condition, but not like this. the quality and the craftsmanship that's in this knife is, it's remarkable, to say the least. All right, let's see if I can zoom in on, so we can look at the details of the knife. Let's see where I can get the zoom. All right, unused blade. It's only sharp on one side. Interesting. Has a little something over here on the tip. Is that might be, I guess that's, well, it's surgical steel. It's not supposed to be rust. Hard to say. You know what I think that is? I think that's the oil from 50 years ago that they put like a drop inside of the knife to keep it. And I just think that it's dried up on the tip. That's what I think. So this side of the blade is not as beveled, as sharpened, doesn't have an edge as the other side does. And it's very small, at 1/4. And the action is perfect. The alignment, I was going to say it looks like it's sitting to the left a little bit, but I think it's the way let me see, can you move it over? Oh yeah, you can. Okay, so actually the alignment is perfect. It has a very slight movement. Interesting is that you can see the stainless steel still looks shiny, and I wonder what the rest of the knife is. A different kind of steel. I wish it said like where it was made. Does it? I didn't see that. Did you? Stainless steel. Oh, what's it say on the bottom of that? I thought I saw some words underneath stainless. Yeah. Oh, you see that? Japan? Yes, sir. Look at that, but you can't see it when it's open. Okay. Japan. So, did I always share that? I've had this for quite some time, and I always thought it was a very, very remarkable and different kind of a knife. I've never seen another one. I've seen other miniature pocket knives from, that they call vintage, but none. Well, not, and definitely now that I know it's Japanese, made in Japan, which I did not know that. I'm not sure what that does for the value. But leave a comment below and let me know what you think, and let me know what you think about the fact that it's Japanese, the box, the date, the price, the value. I hope you enjoyed this video. I like showing older things, unique things, coins, stamps, marbles, knives. And I will see you on the next one.